In the bustling city of Willow Creek, rent prices seemed to rise every year, causing frustration and despair among countless tenants. Emma, a single mother struggling to make ends meet, had always dreamt of a stable home for her young son, Jake. But as the rent for her two-bedroom apartment climbed to levels she could hardly afford, she found herself questioning the fairness of the rental market. One evening, while scrolling through social media, Emma stumbled upon an article discussing rent control, a policy that aimed to keep housing affordable by limiting how much landlords could increase rents annually. Intrigued and hopeful, she dove into research, uncovering how this policy had been implemented in various cities. Initially, the concept seemed like a lifeline. If rent increases could be capped, she could finally save for Jake's education without the constant stress of eviction hanging over her head. But as she continued to read, a troubling thread emerged. Some economists argued that rent control, while well-intentioned, could lead to unintended consequences that might harm renters like her in the long run. Emma decided to attend a community meeting where city officials discussed potential rent control measures. The room buzzed with excitement and anxiety. A local landlord stood up, voice shaking slightly as he addressed the crowd. Implementing these caps may mean that we can't maintain our properties. If I can't raise rents, how can I afford repairs or even pay my mortgage? His words echoed with a somber truth. Another speaker chimed in, a tenant named Carlos, who shared his experience. I've lived in a rent-controlled building for years, but the place is falling apart. My neighbors won't leave, and landlords have no incentive to fix things if they can't increase the rent. The room grew tense as both sides presented valid arguments. Emma began to see that while rent control sought to provide security, it might unintentionally create a shortage of affordable units, as landlords would be less likely to invest in properties or even rent them out. If landlords started converting their units into condos or using them for short-term rentals, it could backfire dramatically, pushing more people into the already strained market. As the meeting wore on, Emma learned about the importance of balance in housing policy. Should rent be controlled heavily, landlords might leave the market altogether, leading to fewer rental options. The underlying lesson emerged. When creating policy, consideration must be given to both tenants' needs and landlords' realities. After the meeting, Emma took her newfound understanding to heart. She began connecting with other renters to advocate not only for measures to help with rent, but for programs promoting new housing developments and community investment. They brainstormed proactive solutions, including encouraging mixed-income housing and government incentives for landlords facilitating affordable housing. Over the following months, Emma continued her activism, now equipped with a comprehensive view of the issue. She understood that tenant rights needed defending, but that sustainable solutions were paramount. Rent control could offer temporary relief, but might not be the ultimate answer. In the end, while Emma's struggle felt as daunting as ever, she grew hopeful. Empowered with knowledge, she realized that navigating the complex world of housing required collective action and informed decision-making. Emma knew the fight wasn't just for her, but for all those like her, seeking stability in a turbulent world. As she returned home, her spirit was fortified by the understanding that by working together, they could forge a future where families could thrive in secure, affordable housing. Inspired by the momentum of her activism, Emma decided to delve deeper into the world of housing and finance. She enrolled in a local community college to take courses on urban studies and economics, believing that education was the key to understanding the intricate dance between policy, market forces, and the needs of her community. Her evenings were spent immersed in textbooks, learning about supply and demand, market elasticity, and the socio-economic factors influencing housing prices. One day in class, the professor outlined the concept of gentrification. Emma listened intently as he explained how rising property values could displace long-term residents, transforming communities at a rapid pace. A light bulb went off in her mind. If rent control didn't work as intended, perhaps her community could explore alternative solutions like affordable housing development. After all, economic education had taught her that increasing the supply of affordable housing could help naturally stabilize rents over time. Eager to put her newfound knowledge into practice, Emma organized a workshop for her neighbors and local advocacy groups. She invited city planners, housing developers, and financial experts to discuss inclusive growth strategies. The evening was filled with vibrant discussion, and Emma felt a surge of pride as they uncovered strategies like tax incentives for developers to create affordable units and zoning changes to allow for multifamily homes in historically single-family areas. As the weeks turned into months, she noticed a shift in her community's engagement with local governance. People who once felt voiceless began attending city council meetings, armed with facts and figures. They pressed for transparency in housing policies, urging officials to consider both tenant protections and the economic realities of property ownership. One night, as Emma prepared dinner for Jake, she reflected on the past year and the growing awareness around housing issues. She realized that financial literacy and policy advocacy intertwined seamlessly. Empowered citizens could challenge unfair practices and advocate for equitable solutions. Emma began to teach these lessons to Jake, instilling in him the value of informed decision-making and the importance of standing up for one's rights. They often browsed libraries for books on economics, encouraging curiosity about money, markets, and the broader implications of policy decisions. Through practical discussions about budgeting, Emma taught Jake to appreciate the balance between saving and spending. It's not just about having money. It's about how you use it and understanding the world around you, she would say. In this regard, both Emma and Jake transformed their challenges into invaluable lessons. They looked not only at the obstacles posed by rising rents, but also at the broader landscape of finance, economy, and community responsibility. One afternoon, as she perused recent articles on housing policy trends, Emma came across a success story from a neighboring city that had implemented a community land trust. This model allowed residents to collectively own and manage their land, ensuring that housing remained affordable over generations. Excitedly, she shared this with her grassroots coalition, remarking on the potential it held for Willow Creek. As seasons changed, so did the landscape of Emma's life. The momentum from her advocacy and education sparked new aspirations. She ran for a seat on the city council, aiming to amplify the voices of families like hers. Although campaigning was daunting, she knew that knowledge was power. She held informative debates around housing policy, educating potential voters about the complexities of market dynamics and the historical context of rental laws. Finally, on election night, as the votes were counted, Emma's heart raced. Victory came in waves, not just for her personally, but for a community that had risen to challenge the status quo. In her first city council meeting, Emma passionately pushed for collaborative solutions addressing both renters and landlords. She proposed a task force to explore innovative housing policies and bridge the gap between economic growth and community welfare. With each passing day, Emma observed the fruits of her labor taking shape. The journey had been arduous, fraught with the weight of responsibility, but it was undeniably worth it. She had transformed her frustration into action, bringing together a community that now had a stake in its future. Unsurprisingly, she felt a profound sense of achievement in teaching Jake, as well as her neighbors, that not only was it essential to understand financial systems, but that participating in them was equally vital. In this dance of economics and policy, Emma learned a critical lesson. The pathway to sustainable solutions does not lie in isolation, but in collaboration, education, and community engagement. True empowerment surfaces when individuals harness knowledge to advocate for systems that promote fairness and stability, ensuring everyone has a chance to thrive in an evolving landscape, one that, in the end, honored both the spirit of tenant rights and the economic realities of housing.